great pleasure that I welcome the families and friends of the graduates of the College of Medicine. And a special greeting to my colleagues in the class of 1992. Congratulations. It's your day, and we're all here to celebrate this day with you. Let me start by introducing you to this class. When they started in 1988, the class of 1992 was selected from 840 applicants. Today, our graduating class includes 83 members, of whom 21 are women. While more than 82% of the class is from Kentucky, we do have representatives from Nebraska, California, New York, Ohio, Texas, West Virginia, Indiana, Missouri, Georgia, Minnesota, Tennessee, Florida, and Illinois. As you will see shortly, a number of our graduates are related to UK faculty members. 34 members of the class are married, and they acknowledge 11 children. At last count. The age of our graduates range from 25 to 43. We're gratified by the academic achievements of the class of 1992. One mark of success for a graduate as well as for school is to acquire an excellent residency position for further training. And this class was particularly successful in securing residency positions in hospitals from Dartmouth Hospital in New Hampshire to the University of California in Los Angeles, and from the University of Michigan Hospital in Ann Arbor to Tulane University, New Orleans. In keeping with our mission and now our reputation, according to U.S. News and World Report, 68% of the class will enter the primary care specialties of medicine, pediatrics, family practice, and obstetrics and gynecology. 45%, in contrast to our paper, 45% will remain here in the Commonwealth to pursue residencies here in Kentucky, and hopefully, if this class is like previous classes, even more will return to practice here. The grads have learned much in the past 4 years, and one of the things that they had to learn early in their career was to use their time wisely, to know when to work and to know when to play. Well, not all of us have mastered that, right, Kelly? But with your demanding classwork and your call schedules, you have learned to use your time wisely, that your time is limited, and that it must be protected. The 18th century humorist Josh Billings once said, "Time is like money. The less we have of it to spare, the further we make it go." This remark was meant to be humorous, but by placing so much emphasis on effective use of our time, time for physicians has become not only precious, but a precious commodity, something that can be sold. Graduation marks the beginning, not the end, of the demands on your time as a physician and as a person. We never seem to have enough time, or to take time. We have time to cure, but we don't have time to care. Not enough time is a common excuse. Faculty members say they don't have time to teach because they're too busy doing research, or they don't have time to do research because they have too many clinical responsibilities. Physicians in practice don't have time to become active in professional societies or charitable activities or community service because they're too busy seeing patients. No one, it seems, has time. I'd like to introduce now a physician who has found time to care for her patients and to care for her community. Dr. Claire Louise Caudill. Dr. Caudill, would you please stand? At the university commencement last week, Dr. Caudill received an honorary Doctor of Science degree. A native of Moorhead, Claire Louise Caudill was admitted to the University of Louisville School of Medicine in 1943, one of only 2 women in her class. After graduating in 1946, she interned at the Hospital of the Women's Medical College of Pennsylvania and returned to Kentucky to receive further training in obstetrics at the Oneida Maternity Hospital. In 1948, she went home to Moorhead to practice, one of only 3 physicians in her community at the time. Family practice meant making a lot of house calls. And she, with her nurse, carried a lot of portable medical equipment along with her to make that possible. In 1957, Dr. Caudle opened a clinic in Moorhead, which also served as a birthing center. Over the years, she estimates that she delivered over 8,000 babies. 2,000 of these were home deliveries. It's a house call in a totally different perspective. Dr. Caudle's concern for health care needs of Rowan County led her to campaign for a new hospital, along with the Sisters of Notre Dame and the Northeast Kentucky Hospital Foundation. As a result, the St. Clair Medical Center, named for Dr. Caudle, was dedicated in June of 1963. St. Clair gives you an idea of our patients think of it. Besides providing care for the people of Moorhead and the region, St. Clair Medical Center and Dr. Caudle have also been responsible for educating a number of healthcare professionals, including those going through the University of Kentucky College of Medicine, as many of you are aware. Dr. Caudle's accomplishments don't end. She has served as the president of the Northeast Kentucky Hospital Federation, been active in the Health Development Association of Northeast Kentucky, and the Kentucky Council on Higher Education. Her awards include Doctor of the Year of the Kentucky Academy of Family Practice and Woman of the Year by the Kentucky Federation of Business and Professional Women. Dr. Caudle has honorary degrees from Thomas More and Moorhead University, as well now the University of Kentucky. Dr. Caudle's involvement in the community sets her apart from other professionals. She doesn't complain about time. She makes it. She doesn't regret that there aren't more hours in the day. She finds them. Time doesn't slip away from Claire Louise Caudle. She focuses it on the area of greatest need, and that is her legacy. Please join me in honoring a heroine of Kentucky medicine, Dr. Claire Louise Caudle. Giving our time is perhaps the most meaningful gift that we can give to others or to our community. The reason is that time once expended, in contrast to a lot of other assets, can never be recovered. We have great admiration for people like Dr. Caudle and others who volunteer their time, who give of themselves. Dr. Caudle didn't receive the honorary degree from the University of Kentucky only for her medical knowledge, that depth of knowledge that actually all of us have that distinguishes us as physicians. But she received the honorary degree for the way that she shared her time and her life with others. She took the time to care as well as the time to cure. When we're young, time stretches before us with countless possibilities. Like the famous sports announcer Kurt Gowdy once said, all our time is ahead of us, all our future is ahead of us. And before we know it, we're 40 or 50 years of age and we are running into a midlife crisis. At that point, most of us aren't really concerned about the fact that we're getting older, or we're not concerned about our status or position in life, but we do question whether or not we have used our time wisely. In Richard III, the main character says, I wasted time, and now time wastes me. Like Richard III, we often have our regrets. You have the opportunity to determine how you are going to use your time so that it's not wasted. It will be your choice whether you use your time for selfish concerns or for altruistic ones, for the benefit of your practice or the benefit of your patients, for furthering your career or nurturing your family. Plan now for how you want to use your time. Right now, you're focused on being a physician, starting your medical career, and that's important. But there are other things important as well. Like Dr. Caudle, you will have the opportunity to enrich your life with meaningful activities. Make time for causes and issues that are important to you. Give of your time and yourself to others. Plan your time to make a difference. There's a story of a young man who came out of a market and saw a small boy looking into the window of his new car. And the small boy said, "Gosh, this is a great car. Where'd you get it?" And the young man said, "Well, I just graduated from medical school and my brother gave me that for a graduation present." And the small boy said, "Gee, I wish," and the young man stopped him and he said, I know. You wish you had a brother like that, right?" And the small boy said, "No, I wish I could be a brother like that." What we give to others is often far more important, far more significant, far more gratifying than anything we accomplish ourselves. Congratulations. Welcome to the profession. It's now my privilege to introduce the Chancellor of the University of Kentucky Chandler Medical Center, Peter Boswell.
Congratulations, class of 1992. I brought a book with me today. It's called A Dispensary of the United States. It was published in 1858, almost 125 years old. And it's a pretty thick book. And there are a lot of different medications identified in this book, and I'm not going to read it to you. But I am going to read a couple little things here. There are two categories of medication that were described in this book: general remedies and local remedies. The general remedies included arterial stimulants, narcotics, antispasmodics, and tonics. The local remedies included cathartics, emetics, diuretics, diapuretics, expectorants, rubefactants, and refrigerants. Refrigerants, by the way, were intended to cool the body. I'm not going to give you the final test here today, much as we might like to do that. Most of you will recognize that everything I read or barely of what I read, is still in use today. By the time you get to be gray like I am, most of what you've learned today and used today will be just like this book, practically archaic. And yet, it's worth looking back in order to look forward and know where we're going. So I wish you good luck. I hope we'll see you all again, and I hope particularly, as the Dean said, that we'll see you again here in Kentucky. Thank you.
I'd like now to introduce the other members of the platform party who represent the faculty and friends of the college and who have a major role in preparing you for this graduation and wanted to be here with you. I would ask each of them to stand and introduce, but please hold your applause until the end of the introduction. Sue Fawson, Assistant Dean for Student Affairs. Dr. Anthony Casal, President of the Medical Alumni Association. Dr. Bruce Lutz, Associate Professor of Surgery. Dr. Roy Jarecki, Special Assistant to the Dean. Dr. Suzanne Arnold, President of the Class of 1992. Dr. David Cowan, Associate Dean for Clinical Affairs and Chief of Staff at the University Hospital. Dr. David Wilson, Associate Dean for Academic Affairs. Dr. Tom Getchell, Associate Dean for Research and Basic Sciences. Dr. Phil DeSimone, Assistant Dean for Ambulatory Services. Dr. Sam Scott, Assistant Dean for Continuing Education. Dr. James Norton, Assistant Dean for Graduate Medical Education. Dr. Carol Elam, Assistant Dean for Admissions. Mr. Tony Gates, Associate Dean for Administration and Finance. Dr. Phyllis Nash, Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs for the Medical Center. Dr. Carl Lukefeld, Director of the Center for Drug and Alcohol Research. Dr. James Glenn, Director of the Markey Cancer Center. Dr. William Marksary, Director of the Sanders Brown Center on Aging. Dr. Arthur Lieber, Professor of Diagnostic Radiology and Chair of the Admission Committee. Dr. Miroslava Nikita Weiner, Professor and Chair of the Department of Anatomy and Neurobiology. Dr. Eugene Hessel, Associate Professor and Vice Chair, Department of Anesthesiology. Dr. Tom Garrity, Professor and Chair, Department of Behavioral Science. Dr. Bob Lester, Professor representing the Department of Biochemistry. Dr. Stephen Stopchinsky, Professor and Chair, Department of Emergency Medicine. Dr. Mike Hagan, Associate Professor and Acting Chair, Department of Family Practice. Dr. Jackie Noonan, Professor and Chair, Department of Pediatrics. Dr. Blake Bradley, Assistant Professor and representing the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology. Dr. Jeff Davidson, Associate Professor representing the Department of Microbiology and Immunology. Dr. Mary Ford, Professor representing the Department of Pharmacology. Dr. Don Frazier, Professor and Chair, Department of Physiology and Biophysics. Dr. Arthur Frank, Professor and Chair, Department of Preventive Medicine and Environmental Health. Dr. Brent Stillman, Professor and Chair, Department of Psychiatry. Dr. Richard Schwartz, Associate Professor representing Department of Surgery. Dr. Mike Seibel, Associate Professor representing the Department of Pathology and member of the Faculty Council. Dr. John Wilson, Associate Professor of Behavioral Science and a member of the Faculty Council. Dr. Drew Freed, Professor of Diagnostic Radiology and Chair of the Faculty Council. Dr. John Slevin, Associate Professor of Neurology and a member of the Faculty Council. Dr. Tom Miller, Professor of Psychiatry. Dr. Alan Gardner, Assistant Professor of Anesthesiology. Robert Sally, Associate Professor of Surgery. Dr. James Banks, Assistant Professor of Family Practice. Dr. Marilyn Getchell, Associate Professor of Surgery. Dr. Nancy Stanley Clark, Resident in Internal Medicine. Dr. Patrick Siri, Assistant Professor of Surgery. Dr. Shuji Sheen, Professor Emeritus of Plant Pathology. Dr. Ruth Crum, Associate Professor of Family Studies. And Dr. Stephen Schindler, Associate Professor of Medicine. Now, please acknowledge the platform vote. The Albert Benjamin Chandler Award is presented to the student achieving the highest academic standing throughout the 4 years of medical school. This year's recipient has a 4-year grade point average in medical school of 4.0. The 1992 Albert Benjamin Chandler Award goes to Dr. Darla Nelms. Perhaps one of the reasons that she received such an enthusiastic applause from the class is that many times during their careers, they called on Darla for help. And she has been willing not only to provide that help to make herself successful, but to make those around her successful as well. Congratulations. The D.K. Clausen Award is an award that's given to an accomplished student. And I'd like to ask one of our accomplished faculty members and the director of the Center of the Sanders Brown Center on to present this award. Dr. Bill Marksberry, could you come forward and present this award?
I love surprises. The D.K. Clausen Award is presented to a member of the graduating class who has demonstrated receptivity and statesmanship in contributing to the growth and stability of college medicine, and to one who has demonstrated an understanding of the complex issues of health care in a modern society. The winner of this award is also an individual who has demonstrated exceptional scholarship and confidence as a young practitioner. I'm honored to present my daughter, Susan.
Our final award, the Alpha Omega Alpha Good Physician Award, will be presented by Dr. Bruce Lucan.
Each year at graduation, Alpha Omega Alpha Honor Medical Society is pleased to present the Good Physician Award. The recipient of the award is a member of the graduating class who demonstrates the qualities of the exemplary physician. Among qualities are commitment to lifelong learning and to upholding the high standards of the profession, compassion in caring for others, fairness and personal integrity in dealing with others, and finally, the energy required in the pursuit of the best possible patient care. The recipient is elected by his or her fellow classmates and therefore represents the high esteem of his and her peers. The winner of the Good Physician Award this year is Joseph Hartig.
I meet periodically with the students, the representatives of the students, the class presidents, and the presidents of the various student organizations. And I enjoy that. I enjoy particularly this year because we had the opportunity to meet with your class president on several occasions, and I enjoyed working with her very much. And I'm pleased to present her to you now, the president of the class of 1992, Dr. Suzanne Marksberry Armour.
Every year, the graduating class of the College of Medicine selects several people to receive honorary memberships in our class. This year, 3 women have been selected, and I would like to present them to you at this time. Carol Ann Butcher was a member of the class of 1992, and we remember her as a bright, happy young woman. During our first year, Carol was diagnosed with ovarian cancer. After undergoing many tests and a major operation, she regained her strength and returned to our class during the second semester, wanting to continue on with her goal of becoming a doctor. As you can imagine, this diagnosis was devastating to her, but Carol showed immense courage and determination until the day she died late in our second semester. She stands as an example of commitment to her chosen field, and her strength of character has touched us all. It was very important for our class to award Carol an honorary membership in the class of 1992. Several members of Carroll's Family are here today, joined us today, and I would ask Kim Schweitzer, her sister, to come forward and receive this honor. Nan Norris Dryden was also a member of the class of 1992, and we remember her friendly, outgoing manner, her willingness to help others. She represents something very special in medicine, a tenacious spirit. Her desire to serve in the health professions and her commitment to her chosen field was a lesson to us all. Nan will be joining us in the health professions, and we and the field will be very lucky to have her. It is with great pride in the kind of person that Nan Dryden is that we award her an honorary membership in the class of 1992. Nan. Nell Ewing Leach is a staff assistant in the Office of Education. We feel a special connection to Nell because she began her job at the College of Medicine the same year we did, 1988. It is no small feat to deal with high-strung medical students every day and make each one feel at home. Nell has been a smiling, helpful face for 4 years and a friend to our class. For her special ability to make each of us feel welcome, our class awards Nell Leach an honorary membership in the class of 1992. I must ask all of you family and friends to bear with me because my remarks today are meant primarily for the doctors on the first 3 rows of this auditorium. Someone in the Office of Education told me that I could talk for roughly 45 minutes. Fear not, I did not take their advice. And besides, I know it would be impossible to make you people sit still for that long ever again. As I went this week and tried to think about what to say today, I began by looking back at the first day we all met. I'm sure each of you has certain memories of our orientation. I remember Assistant Dean Middleton reading that long list, former occupations of people in our class. I remember being surprised that we weren't all biology and chemistry majors. We were an eclectic mix of personalities, to be sure, something we have proven over and over and over again. What other class would have started the famous top 10 lists, done the wave for Dr. Who's last biochemistry lecture, had a Christmas party during our embryology final, or gone to Hilton for senior week except this wonderful class? And how many times have we heard that during our year of acceptance to medical school, the applicant pool was way down? Well, we have faced the adversity. We have passed our last rotation, and we have made it, applicant pool or no. And we've maintained our uniqueness along the way. I can truly say that there is no other class for me but this great class. I found my long-lost ID badge the other day amongst some old biochemistry notes after the waves of nausea had passed. I looked at it and I was amazed. If you could look at your picture now, at this moment, I think you would be surprised at how much you had changed too. We were all tan, well-rested, excited, and very naive. I know now that we didn't have a clue of what was in store for us. In our wildest imaginations, I don't think we could realize the range of emotions and experiences that medical school would provide for us. The big highs, the low lows, the stress, what all seems somewhat pale in comparison to the happiness and pride we feel today. But at the time, those feelings of anxiety and frustration were very real. Having to explain to family members that no, you were not going crazy, you were just in medical school, and everybody that's in medical school acts like this, was not easy. Spending many sunny days studying in the basement of the library was not easy. Making up silly mnemonics to memorize the Krebs cycle was not easy, but we are here now and we have done it. I remember walking into class on that first day, and every day after that, we all seemed to keep the same seats. There were the front row people, Trevor in particular, the laid-back group on the right, the center gunners, and the latecomers who always ended up in the back. Until that first block of exams, it was nice to be a 4.0. But then the first block of exams came and went, and somehow we survived. And there were more blocks of exams and more procrastination between them. And there was Dr. Weiner sitting at the 12-headed microscope, calling out in her thick Serbian accent, Group 1, Group 2, and of course when she got to Group 6 it always sounded like Group 6. And of course those people ran to the microscope. And then it was Christmas break, and all our family members had new illnesses to ask us about. They'd say, you're in medical school, how can I get rid of this backache? And we'd, over and over again, we would reply, I'm only a first year, we haven't done pharmacology yet, but I can tell you the names of all the muscles back if that would help. And they would look at us and they would shake their heads. And the spring came, we got our instruments and proceeded to torture our friends and loved ones with 3-hour physical exams. And somehow we got through that first year and went home for a summer break, which we didn't realize was nearly our last. Second year started, we returned to school with the best of intentions, found our old seats, and started hoping that this was the real thing. And then reality hit as they started adding classes without adding hours to the day. And to add insult to injury, all of our tests seemed to be falling on Saturdays. Surely there's something wrong with this picture, we asked ourselves. The steamroller of second year kept right on going, and we got used to one-day weekends. Those useful facts from microbiology, like the rectal temperature of the flea, and the type of house that the reduvid bug lives in. Those were so helpful. And as the year drew to a close, we celebrated the last micro test and the last pharmacology test of our lives, and tried not to think about that small pop quiz in June, the national boards. What can be said about that fabulous experience? Those comfortable chairs in the auditorium, that well-lit room, those evil, shiny books. I think I'll go into the gory details. Suffice it to say it was an experience that none of us wanted to repeat. But some of us had to, and the rest of us pulled for them and marveled at their strength to go through it again. And then we got to third year, finally the real thing, a 54-week year. Looking like an idiot on rounds, drawing gallons of blood at the VA, listening to heart sounds and nodding appreciatively as the attending said, that early systolic click and that late diastolic decrescendo, didn't you? When all we really heard was love-dove, love-dove. Finally getting to carry a beeper and realizing why I've heard others curse them so much. Taking call, feeling like the real doctor. As we slept in the student lounge on that couch with the bad spring, listening to our fellow third years snore and thinking, hey, Marcus Welby never had to sleep on this couch. But for all its downsides, we knew we would never trade third year for first or second year again. And almost before we could believe it, we were deciding what we wanted to do with our lives. A few of us knew all along, but most of us did the third year shuffle from one specialty to another. And then we had that immense vacation period, 2 luxurious weeks. I'm sure you all remember them. And it was back to fourth year. Fourth year. It's the ultimate. And it felt great to finally see the light at the end of the tunnel. There was another set of national board exams to take. You know, the new and improved version. Or so the medical examiners claimed, with those wonderful matching questions that had 18 possible answers, none of which you felt like was the right one anyway. And there were applications to fill out and interviews to go through, and that fateful day when we had to type out a rank list for residency spots. I was sure I was going to put University of Guam followed by Nome, Alaska Medical School instead of the residence spot I really wanted. All through that year we felt like we were drifting apart, but on match day we came together, and it felt like old times. What a day. We finally got a job. I'm sure our parents can still hardly believe it. And from that point on, fourth year became one giant party. Well, it's been a tough 4 years, and of course, there is no way we could have gotten through these 4 years without a special group of people. You know who they are. They're sitting right behind you, being the wonderful, supportive people that they've always been. They've celebrated with us, consoled us, and stuck with us through it all. I ask you to stand with me now, turn around, and give a big hand to your families. Okay, that's enough. You can sit down. Okay, and now we've come to the end of our time together, and it's time to say goodbye. I'm amazed at how quickly the end of middle school has crept up on us. We've gone through something very few people go through together, and we should be proud of what we've accomplished. It is a unique privilege to become a doctor. And of course, this is not the end of our education. Patients have a lot to teach us about how to treat them. I challenge you to listen to them. I have recently had the opportunity to sit in the hospital watching a member of my own family and wondering if he would be okay. That experience has reminded me that giving any hope at all is very comforting. Little things you do to communicate with a patient and to her family make the difference in whether they understand what is happening to their loved one and can have hope themselves. And don't just give hope, be hopeful for that patient, because we are true human beings, and we cannot maintain too much of a distance from them if we want to be good doctors. I challenge you, therefore, to make small differences in people's lives. Not everyone who becomes a doctor is going to cure cancer, but everyone who becomes a doctor has the opportunity to help someone who is in crisis. I charge you to be straight with your patients. It is their life you're dealing with, and they deserve to know the truth about their disease and their prognosis. Maintain your sense of humor. After all, that's what got you through medical school. And if it works for you, it will work for others too. Above all, and this is probably the hardest thing, remember who you are and why you did all this. Question the authority that tries to change you or tells you it can't be done that way. No rule is so set in stone that it cannot be changed if it is wrong for people. And there may be dark days in January of your internship when you ask yourself, why did I do this? Remember today and how you feel right now. And remember that all these people are pulling for you. Don't get discouraged. I believe that each of you can be a great doctor. And I believe that you will help make the difference for someone out there. It is because of each of you that I am a very proud member of the class of 1992. Thank you.
One of the graduates told me earlier that the class made a vow a long time ago that they would be the best hand class to graduate from the College of Medicine. So you'll now have an opportunity to see that. We'll now place the Doctor of Medicine hoods on the graduate and present them with the diplomas. Dr. Roy Jarecki will present the graduates, and Dr. David Wilson, Dr. Tom Mitchell, and Ms. Sue Fawson will assist in the ceremony. We do have a photographer here that will be taking pictures of each graduate receiving his or her diploma. So we ask that you not come forward to take pictures. You're welcome to take pictures from where you are, but if you come forward, then you might block the view of another graduate's family. Thank you.
We ask that you withhold your applause until all of the candidates for the degree Doctor of Medicine have been presented. Beverly L. Acker from Richmond, Kentucky. She will enter a pediatric residency at the Indiana University Medical Center, Indianapolis, Indiana. Patrick G. Arndt, with high distinction, a member of Alpha Omega Alpha from Omaha, Nebraska. He will enter an internal medicine residency at the University of Colorado School of Medicine, Denver, Colorado. Suzanne Marksbury Arnold, with high distinction, a member of Alpha Omega Alpha from Lexington, Kentucky. She will enter an internal medicine residency at the University of Virginia, Charlottesville, Virginia. Mitzi Hertz Basler from Ashland, Kentucky, will enter an internal medicine residency at the University of Kentucky Chandler Medical Center. Kenneth Lee Bain, with high distinction, a member of Alpha Omega Alpha from Shepherdsville, Kentucky. He will enter a family practice residency at the Trover Clinic Foundation, Madisonville, Kentucky. Scott A. Baker from Elmira, New York, will enter a family practice residency at the University of Kentucky Chandler Medical Center. Gregory Neil Barnes, with high distinction, a member of Alpha Omega Alpha from Prospect, Kentucky. He will enter a pediatric residency at St. Louis Children's Hospital, St. Louis, Missouri. Mark Gardner Bates from Whitesburg, Kentucky, will enter an internal medicine residency at the University of Kentucky Chandler Medical Center. J. Damian Byerly from Louisville, Kentucky, will enter a preliminary medicine residency at the University of Louisville School of Medicine and will continue with an anesthesiology residency at the University of Louisville School of Medicine. Patrick Benge from Houston, Texas, will enter an obstetrics gynecology residency at the Tulane University School of Medicine, New Orleans, Louisiana. Michelle M. Blanchard from Lexington, Kentucky, will enter an internal medicine residency at the University of Kentucky Chandler Medical Center. Stephen Trevor Briscoe, with high distinction, from Corbin, Kentucky, will enter a transitional residency at Greenville Hospital System, Greenville, South Carolina, and continue with an ophthalmology residency at the University of Florida, Gainesville, Florida. Philip Budzinski from Lexington, Kentucky, will enter an internal medicine residency at the St. Vincent Hospital, Indianapolis, Indiana. Raphael A. Carter, with high distinction, a member of Alpha Omega Alpha From Cloverport, Kentucky, he will enter a family practice residency at the University Hospital and Clinic, Columbia, South Carolina. Kevin Lee Clark, with high distinction, a member of Alpha Omega Alpha from Paducah, Kentucky. He will enter a pediatric residency at the Georgetown University Hospital, Washington, D.C. John J. Michael Connor, with high distinction, a member of Alpha Omega Alpha from Hebron, Kentucky. He will enter an orthopedic residency at the University of Kentucky Chandler Medical Center. Stephen Wayne Crum from Lexington, Kentucky, will enter a family practice residency at the Family Practice Center, Rome, Georgia. Matthew James Curran, with distinction, from Simi Valley, California. He will enter a pathology residency at Dartmouth Hitchcock Medical Center, Hanover, New Hampshire. Stacy Renee Davis, with distinction, from Huntington, West Virginia. She will enter a pediatric residency at the University of Kentucky Chandler Medical Center. D. Gene Dillman II, with distinction, from Middleborough, Kentucky, will enter a family practice residency at the University of Kentucky Chandler Medical Center. Jolinda Dillo, with distinction, a member of Alpha Omega Alpha from Ashland, Kentucky. She will enter a college residency at the University of Cincinnati Hospital, Cincinnati, Ohio. David Ray Donaldson from Lexington, Kentucky, will enter an internal medicine residency at the St. Vincent Hospital, Indianapolis, Indiana. Gerald W. Dryden, Jr. from Clarksville, Ohio, will enter an internal medicine residency at the Portsmouth Naval Hospital, Portsmouth, Virginia. Scott Larimore Donovan from Florence, Kentucky, will enter an emergency medicine residency at the St. Vincent Medical Center, Toledo, Ohio. Michael D. Dunaway from Flemingsburg, Kentucky, will enter a family practice residency at the University of Kentucky Chandler Medical Center. Lucinda J. England, with high distinction, a member of Alpha Omega Alpha from St. Louis, Missouri. She will enter a pediatric residency at the University of Cincinnati Hospital, Cincinnati, Ohio. James E. Ewing, with distinction, from Campbellville, Kentucky, will enter a preliminary surgery residency at the University of Louisville School of Medicine and continue with an otolaryngology residency at the University of Louisville School of Medicine. Robin Mark Floyd from Clinton, Kentucky, will enter a family practice residency at the Trover Clinic Foundation, Madisonville, Kentucky. Fred Harris Francis II from Sarasota, Florida, will enter a preliminary medicine residency at the University of Kentucky Chandler Medical Center and continue with a radiation oncology residency at the University of Cincinnati Hospital, Cincinnati, Ohio. Gregory Leon Fuquay from Pee Wee Valley, Kentucky, will enter a family practice residency at the Trover Clinic Foundation, Madisonville, Kentucky. Christopher Joseph Godfrey from Elizabethtown, Kentucky, will enter an internal medicine residency at the Cleveland Clinic, Cleveland, Ohio. D. Kevin Gregory from Taylor Mill, Kentucky. He will enter an internal medicine residency at the University of Kentucky Chandler Medical Center. Gina Battaglia Grove with high distinction from Edgewood, Kentucky. She will enter a family practice residency at the St. Elizabeth Medical Center, Edgewood, Kentucky. Darren Andrew Harden from Edgewood, Kentucky, will enter a preliminary medicine residency at the Christ Hospital, Cincinnati, Ohio, and continue with a neurology residency at the Ohio State University, Columbus, Ohio. Sheila Cahill Parmalee from Ellesmere, Kentucky, will enter a pediatric residency at the University of Michigan Hospital, Ann Arbor, Michigan. Joseph E. Partey from Melbourne, Kentucky, will enter a medicine pediatric residency at the University of Cincinnati Hospital, Cincinnati, Ohio. Sandra K. Hensley from New Albany, Indiana, will enter a pediatric residency at the University of Louisville School of Medicine. Paul Logan Hester from Lexington, Kentucky, will enter a family practice residency at the University of Kentucky Chandler Medical Center. Bev Trier House III, with high distinction, a member of Alpha Omega Alpha. From Manchester, Kentucky, he will enter an emergency medicine residency at the Methodist Hospital, Indianapolis, Indiana. Mark D. Huffman from Alexandria, Kentucky. He will enter an internal medicine residency at the University of Cincinnati Hospital, Cincinnati, Ohio. Bruce Edward from Lenoir City, Tennessee, will enter a family practice residency at the St. Francis Hospital, Beech Grove, Indiana. Robbie K. Hudson, with distinction, from West Liberty, Kentucky, will enter a family practice residency at the University of Kentucky Chandler Medical Center. Glenn Terry Johnson II, with distinction, from Forest Hills, Kentucky, will enter orthopedic residency at the Miami Valley Hospital, Dayton, Ohio. Catalin Demir-Jernilov, from Lexington, Kentucky, will enter an obstetrics gynecology residency at the University of Kentucky, Chandler Medical Center. Jack Kendrick Jr. from Wheelwright, Kentucky. He will enter a medicine pediatric residency at the University of Kentucky, Chandler Medical Center. Charles H. Kim from Lexington, Kentucky, will enter a transitional residency at the Maryland General Hospital, Baltimore, Maryland, and continue with an anesthesiology residency at the University of Maryland, Baltimore, Maryland. Mark M. Kirkham, with distinction, from Hopkinsville, Kentucky, will enter an internal medicine residency at the Vanderbilt University Medical Center, Nashville, Tennessee. David S. Kern, with distinction, from Pikeville, Kentucky. He will enter a plastic surgery residency at the University of Kentucky, Chandler Medical Center. Catherine Ann Colquist, from Duluth, Minnesota. She will enter a pathology residency at the Vanderbilt University Medical Center, Nashville, Tennessee. Shahid Khoury, with distinction, from Millersburg, Kentucky. He will enter an emergency medicine residency at the Pitt County Memorial Hospital, Greenville, Carolina. Kiman Juan Lee, from Louisville, Kentucky, will enter a family practice residency at the Fairfax Family Practice Center in Fairfax, Virginia. Benjamin Paul Lyon, with high distinction, a member of Alpha Omega Alpha. From Ashland, Kentucky, he will enter a preliminary medicine residency at the University of Virginia, Charlottesville, Virginia. Maureen E. Mara, with distinction, from Lexington, Kentucky. She will enter an obstetric gynecology residency at the University of Louisville School of Medicine. William T. Martin, from Louisville, Kentucky, will enter a psychiatry residency at the UCLA San Fernando Valley in California. Terry Steve McChristian, from Murray, Kentucky, will enter a family practice residency at Trover Clinic Foundation, Madisonville, Kentucky. Richard Nicholas Wathen Medley III, with distinction, from Owensboro, Kentucky. He will enter a preliminary surgery residency at the University of Louisville School of Medicine and continue with a urology residency at the University of Louisville School of Medicine. Debbie Mendel, from Macon, Georgia, with high distinction. She will enter a medicine pediatric residency at the University of Tennessee College of Medicine, Chattanooga, Tennessee. Thomas E. Menke, with high distinction, a member of Alpha Omega Alpha, from Fort Mitchell, Kentucky, will enter an orthopedic residency at the University of Kentucky Chandler Medical Center. William P. Miller, from Calvert City, Kentucky. He will enter a preliminary medicine residency at the University of Kentucky Chandler Medical Center and continue with a neurology residency at the University of California, Irvine, California. Eric Morse, with distinction, from Lexington, Kentucky, will enter a physical medicine residency at the University of Kentucky Chandler Medical Center. Darla K. Nelm, with high distinction, a member of Alpha Omega Alpha. From Erlanger, Kentucky, she will enter a pediatric residency at the University of Cincinnati Hospital, Cincinnati, Ohio. John P. O'Brien, Jr., from Morningdew, Kentucky, will enter a psychiatry residency at the University of Kentucky Chandler Medical Center. Todd Gerald Pruitt, from Villa Hills, Kentucky. He will enter a family practice residency at the St. Elizabeth Medical Center, Edgewood, Kentucky. Stephen Paul Schindler, with distinction, from Lexington, Kentucky. He will enter an internal medicine residency at the Bowman Gray, North Carolina Baptist Hospital, Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Thomas J. Seary, with high distinction, from Moorhead, Kentucky. He will enter a preliminary surgery residency at the Medical College of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia, and will continue with a urology residency at the Medical College of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Vera L. Sheen, from Lexington, Kentucky, will enter an internal medicine residency at the Jewish Hospital in St. Louis, Missouri. Billy Shepard Noble, from Lexington, Kentucky, will enter a practice residency at the Mountain Area Health Education Center, Family Practice, in Asheville, North Carolina. Mark Shotley, from Louisville, Kentucky, will enter a preliminary surgery residency at the University of Kentucky Chandler Medical Center. Martin McLeod Steve, from Lexington, Kentucky, will enter a preliminary psychiatry residency at the University of Kentucky Chandler Medical Center and will continue with an ophthalmology residency at the University of Kentucky Chandler Medical Center. Scott Matthew Stevens, from Somerset, Kentucky, will enter an internal medicine residency at the University of Kentucky Chandler Medical Center. Russell Wayne Stevens, from Olive Hill, Kentucky, will enter a family practice residency at the University of Kentucky Chandler Medical Center. Jill Elaine Stuckler, with distinction, from Crestview Hills, Kentucky, will enter a preliminary medical residency at the Christ Hospital, Cincinnati, Ohio, and continue with anesthesiology residency at the Bowman Gray, North Carolina Baptist Hospital, Winston-Salem, North Carolina. V. Reed Sutton, with distinction, from Lawrenceburg, Kentucky, will enter a pediatric residency at the St. Louis Children's Hospital, St. Louis, Missouri. Janet Tamarick, from Cleveland, Ohio, will enter a pediatric residency at the University of Kentucky Chandler Medical Center. Lawrence Shinzo Tawa, from Torrance, California, will enter an internal medicine residency at the Veterans Affairs Medical Center of West Los Angeles, California. Freddie L. Terrell, from Buskirk, Kentucky, will enter a preliminary surgery residency at the University of Kentucky Chandler Medical Center and continue with a urology residency at the University of Mississippi, Jackson, Mississippi. Dirk B. Thacker, from Ashland, Kentucky, will enter a family practice residency at the Richland Memorial Hospital, Columbia, South Carolina. Jill A. Vitus Engel, from Lexington, Kentucky, will enter a psychiatry residency at the Medical University of South Carolina, Charleston, South Carolina. Jerome Howard Waller, Jr., from Berea, Kentucky, will enter a family practice residency at the Greenville Hospital System, Greenville, South Carolina. Kelly Dean Watson, from Lexington, Kentucky, will enter an internal medicine residency at the Medical University of South Carolina, Charleston, South Carolina. James Robert Workmeister, with distinction, from Shepherdsville, Kentucky, will enter a medicine pediatric residency at the University of Kentucky Chandler Medical Center. Richard M. West, with high distinction, a member of Alpha Omega Alpha, from Paris, Kentucky, will enter a medicine pediatric residency at the University of Tennessee College of Medicine, Memphis, Tennessee. Nancy K. Yearley, with distinction, from Pekin, Illinois, will enter a preliminary medicine residency at the McGaw Medical Center, Maywood, Illinois. Ladies and gentlemen, the faculty of the College of Medicine of the University of Kentucky presents for your approval the physicians of the class of 1992.
Not only gives you certification as a physician, gives you the opportunity to give back to the College of Medicine for the rest of your days. And now, Dr. David Cowan, the Chief of Staff at University Hospital and the Associate Dean for Clinical Affairs, will administer the Hippocratic Oath. Will the graduates please stand?
Every year, the college gives the graduates of the University of Kentucky the opportunity to repeat the Hippocratic Oath. This is one of the hallmarks of our profession, and it is done for some very laudable reasons. The profession recognizes that how the leadership of the profession goes, so goes the profession. We also recognize that what a mind concentrates on is what it mimics and looks to. I'm afraid that many members of the profession of my generation have looked to things other than this Hippocratic Oath. We've looked at technology rather than caring. Sometimes we've looked for power and prestige rather than a position of service. I guess I would have you really look to love mercy, to walk humbly and with God, and to act justly. But I would also have you look at this Hippocratic Oath. I wonder if the class would repeat after me. I'll read a line at a time. At this time of being admitted as a member of the medical profession, please. I solemnly pledge myself to consecrate my life to the service of humanity. I solemnly pledge myself to consecrate my life to the service of humanity. I will give my teachers the respect and the gratitude which is their due. I will give my teachers the respect and gratitude which is their due. I will practice my profession with conscience and with dignity. I will practice my profession with conscience and dignity. The health of my patient be my first consideration. The health of my patient be my first consideration. I will respect the secrets which are confided in me. I will respect the secrets which are confided in me. I will maintain, by all the means in my power, the honor and the noble traditions of the medical profession. I will maintain, by all the means in my power, the honor and the noble traditions of the medical profession. My colleagues will be my family. My colleagues will be my family. I will not permit consideration of religion, nationality, race, party politics, social standing to intervene between my duty and my patient. I will not permit consideration of religion, nationality, race, party politics, or social standing to intervene between my duty and my patient. I will maintain the utmost respect for human life, even under threat. I will not use my medical knowledge contrary to the laws of humanity. I will maintain the utmost respect for human life, even under threat. I will not use my medical knowledge contrary to the laws of humanity. I make these promises solemnly and freely and upon my honor. I make these promises solemnly, freely, and upon my honor. Welcome to the profession. I hope this class to carry on the tradition you've already started in humanity, leadership, and respect for people. Thank you.
We believe that if we take care of the students while they're here, we won't have to worry about the alumni. The alumni will be there to help us if we need them, and that's certainly been true of our medical school alumni. I'm pleased now to present the president of the medical school alumni group, Dr. Anthony Casale.
Thank you. Just a minute and a half. On behalf of the Medical Alumni Association, I'd like to honor the graduating seniors today. Congratulations for persevering 4 years of hard work, long hours, and demanding academic material. We're all proud of you and welcome you to a great profession. It takes most of us several years to realize after graduation just what a privilege it is to be a physician and to understand the many opportunities that come with a medical degree. On the other hand, I must remind you that today is just the beginning step in your career. There are more long hours, more hard work, and more challenges. I have a challenge for you. As you scatter throughout the country for training and career, remember that you started here. Remember these people in this school. The people of Kentucky, of this university, have opened wonderful doors for you. And as you move on, please support your school in any manner that you see fitting. Many of almost 2,500 graduates that have preceded you have contributed in making your education one of which to be proud. Please be active and improve the future of your College of Medicine for all of us. We need your help. Again, congratulations on your day, and thank you.
Well, a final comment to my colleagues in the graduate class. Some of you are leaving the university, but we want you to know that this is your college. It will always be your college, and we'll be here with you or for you if you should ever need us. Again, congratulations, and thank all of you for joining us on this special day. We do ask that you stand for the recessional or the platform party and the graduates, and join us afterwards in the lobby for the reception.